Welcome to the BANGover podcast. I'm Scott Allen. This is Chris Myers.
Howdy.
And this is another full episode of news, notes, releases, anniversaries, and then some sad stuff at the end. I feel like we should start with this. No. Can't start on a bad note. We're going to end on one? No. It's never a bad thing.
We end on a thoughtful note.
Yeah, some musicians that might have passed away in the time between episodes, which is, you would hope there would be none, but they live on forever because you know why? They're on record. It's like, you got something that's going to go past you, you know? So not too sad. All right, so
what is today?
What is today?
Yeah, today it is April 2nd. It's about 2 weeks since our last... About 2 weeks since our last episode, so that's what you're saying. Like, things have happened.
Yeah.
Like, just we're catching up on all these events.
Yeah.
Luckily, on the bad end, there's not too much.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thanks, Satan. Thank you, Satan. Hell him. All right, so we'd like to start off with some rock and roll news, and then from there we're going to move into new releases, and then into some anniversaries that are happening this month, some albums that have birthdays, if you will, and then we'll get into our closing stuff. So we got a lot of stuff in the notes, so we might as well start jumping into that right now.
Yes. So since we've last talked, there's been a bunch of stuff that's happened in the world of rock and roll, and this actually happened earlier in the month. This article from Spin is around March 5th, so it actually is a news topic we missed, but I felt was pretty big that we should touch on it, which was Metallica donating to the recent Texas winter storm, relief, food banks and stuff. Recently, we're here in Texas, so we experienced this crazy winter storm firsthand.
Lived right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it was hell for me personally, hell for you, I would assume too.
Really bad. Not as bad as you or some of the other stories I heard. I kind of just had my resources, and I was lucky enough. The only thing was like a little bit of water loss, and we live right next to the IRS building, so we never lost power.
Yeah, and we also lived next to a Walmart, which was it was one of these places that we could walk to and get stuff if we needed to, or local convenience stores. So it was.
I tried to walk to the gas station. It was like the most epic journey of my life. I couldn't imagine walking to Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, all I own is Converse or like fucking skate shoes, if you will, some Adidas. That shit has no traction on ice. I've watched people I bust my ass seven times.
I busted ass.
Seven times at least. Like down a flight of stairs. I was like, my arm hooked the railing, the only thing that stopped me.
Yeah.
Can't be drinking and fucking walking on ice.
Well, a lot of effort has like relief efforts have come from that storm, and just everybody, it took like a week out of everybody as far as just like being able to do stuff and all that. So Metallica, stepped up and donated
$75,000.
Yeah, $75,000 to the AWMH Foundation. Or no, that's their foundation, and they donated to Feeding America, which is to be distributed through the Texas food banks. And they posted that on their Twitter with the link, how you can help also. And so pretty cool. Thought that was just something to mention, how the metal band that has the resources stepped up. They're none of them probably even from Texas, but
I know they love Texas.
Yeah.
They come here all the time. They hit every single major city, Yeah. They even stop in Austin. They're like, back like maybe 8 years ago for sure, 10 years ago, hell yeah. Metal bands didn't really come through Austin. So we always had to go to San Antonio to see all our favorite metal bands, like all the time, right? And then Fun Fest kind of opened up the gates a little bit, and now metal bands constantly come through here. But Metallica was always one of those bands they're like on a different level. They're like on a Bruce Springsteen level, to where it's like anywhere, everywhere, all the time. It doesn't matter. Legendary. Everyone knows their name. It doesn't matter if you even like that style of music. You know who Metallica is. And back to the ice storm thing a little bit. Maybe if you guys didn't know, Texas is covered in limestone. Where like it's You can't even put a shovel into the ground without hitting a rock. So none of our pipes are dug very deep when it comes to the city code, like a foot down
Yeah.
in some instance.
A lot of busted pipes. A
Yeah.
lot of them are just above ground pipes. You'll see
That
them walking
too.
around.
We've never had a cold like that or snow that lasted that long, that's for sure. Or just, it was like a week, right? And
A
it
whole
was
week
too
of, like,
long.
just shut down, yeah.
We would get it like 2 or 3 days, but never for that long and that heavy, you know? So
Started
it
on
really
like a
did fuck
Monday,
us.
Tuesday, and it didn't end until like the following week.
No, every day I was just
Yeah.
like, and the first night it was snowing, I was just looking out there like laughing and drinking, and then I was like, it's not stopping.
Yeah.
And it was getting pretty deep. But Metallica's great fucking for doing that. I mean,
We're living in this age where they're not really playing shows, so their income is probably all affected in some way. We know how they are notorious with money.
all bands,
so,
and all of them make money. All bands make money just from touring, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like CD sales aren't a thing anymore. You're not gonna make millions off an album,
yeah.
but you could do pretty well on tour.
Yeah. So they stepped up. That was nice. Thought it'd be worth mentioning. On to our next story, which
Oh, here we go
Yeah,
again. It's like every bar conversation I have. Let's go.
yeah. There was an event that happened in the beginning of January, I believe. This insurrection, the U.S. Capitol riots,
Oh my God.
and the guitar player / is he the singer too?
Fuckface.
He was the guitar player / singer, I guess, for Iced Earth was
A part of it.
was a part of it and got captured or turned himself in, and basically his attorney argued that he admitted he used bad judgment in attending the riots and wished he had a do-over, and stated that the client had no prior convictions and posed no danger to the community, but basically the judge or magistrate judge was firm on his decision to basically keep him in jail because he made a statement, if somebody wants to bring violence, I think there's a lot of us here that are ready for it, and basically argued that statement, he then argued, hey, that was taken out of context, all this stuff.
Nope.
Basically,
Dude,
Yeah.
not when you live in that world of where your personality and who you are means a lot to the band that you're in. Especially if you have people that follow your band, they will listen. And saying shit like that is fucking dumb as fuck.
yeah. Iced Earth his bandmates denounced
cares
his
about that band?
actions, and they said that they don't condone or support the riots.
All right, I take it back.
But and that they hope that all those involved that day are brought to justice and investigated and answer for their actions, basically. But then I guess the band's vocalist, sorry, they have a dedicated vocalist, Stu Block, and the bass player Luke Appleton, they left the band. So the band's basically just falling apart.
How old's this band? Like, let it go. Go start another
Yeah.
project. I don't know. I've never been too much of a fan of Ice Earth. I saw them at an Ozfest one year. It was fine. What was it, like speed metal? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
don't even know, like, I can't even think of an Ice Earth song, man.
he tried to say it was bad judgment. The judge said no, basically.
Not when you make a statement like that.
Not when you make those statements, and basically he's going to be held on without bail
Yeah.
until his trial.
If
so.
any Joe Schmo that worked, like, at a fucking Home Depot made that reference on their page, so what? You know what I mean? Like, they don't have a bunch of people following them, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's so dumb. It's like, I get it, like, these people are old, but that's not a fucking excuse to be ignorant, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, I wasn't around when social media.
I don't really have, I've never
You are
really
now?
listened to that band, but I can only imagine that it just sounds old.
I
And
know.
that's
and,
just a way of thinking,
and
probably.
it
so I
sucks
don't know.
because there's so many, like, of our bands, or bands that we love that, like,
Really
have
like 'em.
problematic, like, things that they say because of them being 50.
Or just, I know, exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Moving on to a better story
Something
here.
cool.
Yeah, Lemmy. We all know Lemmy, the great Lemmy. I wish we had a soundboard to just play like dang dang dang, like the intro to like Aces.
Just any song. Just let me hear that bass.
So But yeah, he passed away, as we all know, and we learned that through Ricky Rackman, who we all know from the MTV days of the
Oh yeah.
Headbanger Ball.
If you don't know,
Headbangers
then
Ball.
I don't know. Watch some VH1. He's on there.
Yeah, he gave, or Lemmy gave Ricky a bullet full of his ashes, and apparently he that was one of his wishes, was to have his ashes put into a bullet, and the bullet has his name on it. It's got a nice little casing and everything, jewel casing, and it was sent out to his closest friends. It said it brought him to tears, and just a very cool story. That, of course, that's the most Lemmy thing to do, is to put your ashes in a bullet and send it to your friends.
It's the most metal fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
So fucking, so rock and roll. And is he the first one that's ever done this? It's like, dude, what do those things kill? Like
Probably
werewolves?
probably the
Take out like an ancient
probably the
demon
first,
with one?
probably the first for like a bullet casing. I'm sure you're like you're all friends and you're both rock stars, and probably like a little ashes here or something.
He just spread them around. He was like, put them in bullet casings. I don't know, like make some whiskey out of me. Grow some barley with my ashes.
I mean, how many friends are we talking? That's what, like, how many people, how many ashes? How many
I'm thinking
bullets
6-shooter, so 6 bullets.
You think 6 bullets?
I'm thinking 6.
All right.
I mean, that seems like a good number.
See, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a cool story worth mentioning.
It's the coolest story worth mentioning.
Another little bit of not a downer story, but just one to kind of keep the flow going here. We got the drummer from Caius talking about a possible reunion, but that it's up to Josh Homme to make the call, and that they talked at some point about it, and it just doesn't seem like it's probably ever going to happen. We had Caius Lives happen, and I don't know.
Are they just trying to pull like the star power of Josh Homme? I don't know if I ever say his last name right. To bring more people out to a Chaos show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you've done this before without him, and I know he was like, a really iconic member, and probably wrote a majority of the stuff, but I don't know, who would really care, to be honest. To me, I'd rather go see Queens of Stone Age, but that would seem fine too. I don't know, there's just not that many songs that I even, I mean, it might be, I love it.
It would be cool,
but he's such a busy guy.
Yeah.
Like Josh, I don't know.
This was.
I mean, I hope it does happen if we do have the time right now. But everyone's about to start ramping up after this vaccination thing and going back on tour. So,
It was on the Hobo on the Radio show, which is a podcast by Total Rock, and it was Brant Bjork, I believe is his name. And
yeah, he's a band called Bjork, and they always pop up on my Spotify.
Oh my god,
he's like
so
one of the
to not Bjork
founders of like desert rock drumming, or like stoner rock drumming. He's like kind of coined a style, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, this is what he said. He said he reached out to him after the Caius reunion comments made the press rounds last year, and he was actually like, "Yeah, let's talk, and I'll get back to you." That's what Bjork says that Josh said to him, and Bjork was like, "All right, cool, man," and it just never happened. So he doesn't know what to say about it. Or it's just one of those, And so, and then he said it's an interesting comment because I can totally relate to his feelings, because I was really bummed the way Caius broke up. I didn't want it to end that way. So what we should have done is never broke up. We had known as young dudes, which is, let's face it, we were young. It's hard to do. We had known if we had known how to keep a band together, we could have just had that band keep moving all along and taking breaks from time to time to pursue other things. There's always a way to do it, and it just takes communication. And so that's kind of where he's at. He seems coming from a very sensible place where it's like, you could do Queens of Stone Age, you could do whatever you want. You could even do Caius, just,
Yeah.
make time if you really want it. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's worth maybe having a conversation
Yeah.
over. And, like the whole Nick Oliveira thing, too, it's like that was really complicated now at this point because
yeah,
of just rampant drug use
according to this, they
and yeah, being young and in a band that's really getting popular and successful. It's like
Yeah.
you don't know how to handle it, and the music industry was shitty back then.
so that was Caius Lives was going on in 2010, but then a lawsuit from Josh Homme barred them from using the moniker. So then they changed their name to the Vistachino, and then after that little stint, now Bjork and Oliveri play in a group called Stoner.
That's
So-
it's kind of fucked up, Josh. A little fucked up. He's like,
So
nope.
can't even use the name.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
if
I
he
remember
cares
that
that much
coming
about the
back,
name,
yeah.
then he should join the band. Maybe, I don't know.
You're definitely right. I take back everything I said. It's like it's kind of falling on him at this point.
Yeah. So, this is something you actually
I already knew about.
you already knew about this. All right.
Because no matter what I'm on Instagram, YouTube,
You see it come on.
Yeah, they were like, I know you like war, so check this out. I'm like,
well,
of course,
it's funny
thank
you
you.
say that because even me, like just on YouTube or whatever, I've seen so many ads for this. Or
Really?
Yes, they promoted the shit out of it.
I thought it was
somehow.
just me saying
No,
this.
I think they did some heavy PR
wow.
for this because it was all over the place. I saw it on my news feeds. I saw it
Yeah.
on like little ads. It was like,
So Gore is one of those bands that is
so
obviously
yeah, let's
a live
break it down.
show.
What's going
right?
on right here?
It's all about a live show. They write an album to perform it live, like a played out a performance where it's scripted, the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the whole that's how they make their living is doing that. And everyone will go to a Gore show, and it's dude, I've never spent more than like $13, which is crazy. And they will say like they've never made a penny off of Gore. It's kind of like just paying itself off kind of thing. Like you put in all this money and then you're going to get it back on the touring and then to use it to tour once more.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to tour in a year, and a band like War could actually like perish because of it. Because no income, and you have to file for like things like bankruptcy even when you have
Yeah.
a band because you have an LLC under it and you have
Oh,
employees.
yeah. We had
and-
Mastodon famously do that.
Exactly. And it's like, holy fuck. So they have to like merchandise the fuck up right now.
And
CBD,
what
I
better-
heard of weed. Like I heard they just got their
genius,
weed too.
though.
Yeah.
This is I was, if you read the marketing, so Gore started a CBD line, but of actual flower, and you can buy it in multiple quantities and forms. But it's a genius in the way they're marketing it, where it's Bud of the Gods. There's a limited edition canister you get when you buy like the most expensive amount or whatever. It comes in a nice canister, but you can get smaller amounts and stuff. And it's got a full like one of those CBD reports on it. You can look into all the it's been analyzed scientifically. You know what I mean? So you can look at all that stuff on their website about it. And it's very cool. Just the whole idea, like you're saying, like we're living in this weird time where you need to like find a way to like, I don't know, just bring income into the band.
Yeah, how do you do that? And if anything, like the whole social media thing is quite a blessing for a band like War, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they can do so many things that they weren't able to do, back in the early 90s and stuff. Now they can they always pop up, like little skits or them just out on the town, being their characters. It's always fun. And they also had the new single coming out, right? What was the next topic?
Yes.
The EP, the acoustic version of Fuck This Place.
Yes.
And the album the vinyl looks crazy. It's the
Yeah.
actual picture of what you would see if you saw it on Spotify. That right there,
yes.
covering the vinyl.
It's
a very special edition.
Yeah. So it's interesting they're promoting this album
Collectives.
too, and they also have this line of it's like an EP too, so it's not even like a full album.
But I
But
got the one song.
and it's interesting. It's an acoustic version, and then this CBD line that they have going, which it's very, I'm guessing, limited. And this is from their announcement and stuff. It's a play on the Blood of the Gods, their album, or the Blood of Gods. Sorry, and it's Scumdog. The Scumdogs and Gwar felt it was pertinent to celebrate the themes of green, and boasted that the products will ship just in time for 420. And they're also selling hemp flour, pre-rolled, and I think they're, yes, that canister like I described, that cool, it like looks really cool. It's got some art on it. And this is the statement from the band. So Gwar's been tearing the universe a new one for literally eons. It's not easy to be an intergalactic warrior shaman and the leader of the most insane shock rock band in history. Begin frothing Blothar, the berserker. I've found that after a long day of bloodthirsty battle, nothing soothes my mind like the bud of the god CBD. It's the perfect sacrament with which to wind down from white-hot berserker rage. Grab some today and feel your pretty human concerns melt away into sweet nothingness you crave. So, like you're saying, they're using the promotion as even like in the name, like the wording of the band. They acknowledge the human consumption of this thing. You know what I mean?
That's how they always think of it. Like they've been saying all pandemic long. It's like, we want people to get the vaccinations, get better, because we are here to kill you, not some other disease.
Yeah.
Like, that's our job. So, God damn it.
It's the perfect companion for job interviews, parole hearings, childbirths, socially distanced funerals. It does the body good.
Say childbirth.
They also said, it's the only thing I have found to soothe my ever-present bloodlust. And some highlights about it. It's a tropical, fruity citrus sherbet, earthiness, a little sweet, a little sour.
Everything.
A little everything. Clarity, comforting, physically healing, easing, hybrid, gentle green indica.
Get some sleep with this.
17.67% CBD, and it's got a bunch loaded terpentine, so I'm not even going to get into that. If you're really into it, go check it out.
I am going to check it out,
Yeah.
and I am going to buy some.
There's a commercial for it as well, so.
Oh, my God. I have seen this commercial, actually. So great. All right.
So
moving on.
Like we also talked about the EP here, this acoustic
sorry.
EP. No, I mean, yeah, we kind of rushed, or not rushed, but kind of just talked about it. There's a single out. It's like 4 songs, right?
I just got the one, man.
But I mean, like total, does it show you how many are total going to be on it?
No.
No?
Doesn't say shit.
I'm going to check it out. But yeah, I think there's only going to be like 4 on it. It's all an acoustic EP, which is very interesting for Gwar. Like, here's the songs. I don't know if you're probably more familiar with the band. So
what? This is Apple Music?
Yeah.
And they did this, and Spotify didn't do that?
It shows you
Spotify didn't do that?
So those are the songs they're going to be doing.
Yeah, this is, you said this is like kind of uncommon for Gwar.
Yeah.
It's really not. If you listen to all their music, like, it is all over the goddamn place. It starts off like funny songs. There's really wacky songs. They have
acoustic?
Jazz. Yeah.
Oh.
They've already done it.
They've already done it.
They've already done it.
But I guess they haven't done it with this new incarnation. Am I correct on that?
The new singer?
The new, I guess,
guitar player, yeah.
Don't they have multiple?
Yeah, but like every album will always have like a song that kind of drops low. It depends. They don't decide when to do songs. It has to come in the grand scheme of things. So it's like whatever the idea is for the album, like the songs have to shape that and sound like that. So some could be slow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they're one of those bands that just do whatever the fuck they want, to be honest. And I love that about them.
So, well, that's interesting. I really didn't know that they did a bunch of acoustic already. That's cool.
It's like a few here and there, and there's some albums that they just had so many like EPs where it's like it's hard to get through all of Gore's discography. You know, it's like, oh man, like Goroween, I think is the one album or something where it's like it's so rough and just there's so many different weird elements and they don't even sound like themselves really. It's not until like Scumdog like kind of stamped something, and even then they still had some weird albums. I talked to the bass player about a year or two ago, and I was just telling him how much I just love Gore and the music itself, let alone the imagery and the live show. And he was like, He was telling me in the studio they would work so hard on making these great fucking songs, and then Dave would come in and just fucking whoop de doop de doop de doop de doop, fucking sing about fucking fishes, and he that was like every comment like a magazine, or like criticism they would get was like it's a little goofy, but the music's really good. But that's kind of their charm as well. So just wanted to share that little story.
Well, next story we got lined up is one that is piquing my interest. I don't know about you. We got some new news about the new Mastodon that's coming out. Bill,
Bigger.
yeah, Bill was talking to Talking Metal about the, I guess it would be number 8 for the band, and they're about halfway through it, mixing it. So, and that was
Holy shit.
2017's Emperor of Sand, and they're working with
It's every 4 years.
yeah, they're working with David Bottrill, who's the first time working with them, who's the producer, mixer, and the engineer on it. And Bill was going on about the album a little bit, and he said a few things. He said that he for the first time he really wasn't into trying anything new. But as time went on, he was like, this record's really special and it's different, and times are different right now. So we all just kind of went into it with open minds, and the result is amazing. It's the fullest, biggest sounding record we've ever done, or we've done so far. So it's making me a little excited to hear what he means by that.
Yeah, because, things have been pretty full and huge at times when it comes to Mastodon, where, wow. Like, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm not surprised that they're coming out with a new album. It's about time. Like I said, every 4 years. The cool thing is that we're also getting a new Gojira. Mm-hmm. And just having those two in the same year. But that's the thing. Now everyone's going to be almost on the same schedule, because of the whole quarantine pandemic, and we all had time to I guess I'll just write an album.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to just hearing the first single off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then listen to it all day and then never listening to it again until the album comes out. Because I always ruin it for myself. I'm like, now I got to skip these 3 songs when I'm listening to the whole album,
Yeah.
Because I've heard them 50 times.
Yeah. I really like even the bad Mastodon, quote unquote bad Mastodon albums. You know what I mean?
I don't even think of one bad album. Once More Around the Sun.
Hunter. Everyone gives the Hunter shit.
What? That's their number 1 album.
I know. I love it.
It's literally their
I've
number
heard people
1 album.
talk shit.
If you Google
I've
their albums
heard people
in
talk
list,
shit.
the polls say
I know.
The Hunted. And Once More Around the Sun is probably their worst album, which I thought would be a lot not. I don't know. They have so many good albums,
we did talk about
Leviathan,
this.
I thought would be their worst, but you have the best song of all time on there. So
yeah. Well, we'll talk more Mastodon later in
Yeah.
our anniversary segment, but it's good to know there's some
stuff to look
new
forward
stuff
to.
coming out. Mm-hmm. Next story, we got High on Fire's Matt Pike is recording a solo album. He's doing it with High on Fire's Jeff Matz playing a baglama. He's playing that on the album. So it's going to
Turkish
be
instrument.
Yeah, so it's going to be a weird album, it looks like, because it was posted on Jeff's Instagram, it looks like. And
Jeff, the bass player.
yes. He said he had a great time recording some electro baglama tracks for
What?
Matt Pike's upcoming solo album. And there's a picture of him doing it. So kind of alluded to this solo album that he's doing, which it's going to be this weird either a weird multi-instrument album or like just going to be really heavy with these instruments. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Who knows what it means?
I don't.
But yeah,
I don't know what that means either because
but it's interesting that
High on Fire's past two albums were absolutely destructive, like just mind disintegrating. The best shit I've ever heard him do.
yeah,
And the drummer left the band, I believe, like a little bit over a year ago, and
so you think
you
that's
just can't touch that drummer's work. Like to replace him, I don't know what you got to fucking do or where you got to go and grow a fucking drummer somewhere because that guy was
maybe you take a step back and do this
indestructible.
weird like Turkish instrument album where it's just like weird in touch with your roots, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know what his roots are, but
I mean, it could start off real fucking fast and heavy, and then somewhere in the middle will end up in like Stonerville, you know?
yeah. So just something to keep an eye out for, an ear out for. Probably drop like a single for that once it gets closer to being completed. We're still tracking right now, so
It doesn't take that long to track,
Yeah.
so a month or so. Yeah.
yeah. Moving on to the next story, one that I'm also interested in. I kind of broke down. From the gore, we kind of transitioned into like new releases or new albums
Yeah.
that are on the horizon. So like the gore album, the Mastodon
Whispers.
one,
Yeah.
the High on Fire one, and we got another, whisper out there of a new album from Meshuggah. Frederick Thordendahl, that's a cool name, returns to Meshuggah, and they begin recording their 9th album.
Oh, yes.
So we are getting...
Did I do this with my mind? Because I've been
was saying
loving
you've been-
Meshuggah.
And look, they're even using EVH gear.
Did
They've
I
been-
fucking do this with my mind?
So Meshuggah posted on their Instagram, things are happening. As some of you figured out, we have entered Sweet Spot Studio and have begun recording a new album. Spoiler, there will be distortion and kicks. Also, we have other news. We are releasing Per Nilsson back into the wild to roam free in any way he sees fit. It has been a true privilege and honor to share the stage with Per, and even more importantly, we have made a great friend through our travels. Per, we thank you. You are a formidable human being. So
They are aliens, aren't they?
So why are we releasing Per back into a more stable habitat, you ask? The answer is simple. Frederick will be back for lead work on the album, as well as touring going forward. In other words, the band is back together in full effect.
Wicked solo time, dude.
Yeah. So we're going to get... and they also have 2021 dates already booked for Europe, going into November into December.
And then we'll talk about,
So-
damn, it'll be a while before I
Yeah.
get to see him.
So probably 2022 is when you could see some American tour dates, which is probably when the album will be, they'll be pumping for that album. So
Yep. I'm looking
Excuse
forward to it. Just been falling in love with that band.
Yeah.
It's literally like my fucking meditation now.
well, it's good to know that it's going to be like coming. This 9th album is going to be just on
Please,
fire.
please.
Just back to
God
yeah.
damn it, please.
So yeah, moving on to another sort of,
Announcement?
about a new album. I'm not too familiar with At the Gates.
Everyone's heard that one album.
That
You metalheads know what I'm talking about.
I thought it was maybe
They have two. Three, I think, because in 2010 they might have came out with one. Or maybe that was just a reunion tour, but they like broke up right when they first started.
I think that's there was something in here.
And it's very death metal. It's like right there at the cusp of like they're one of like the footsteps, the if you will, founding members a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah, so it's got a reunion. They're in their reunion era right now, and it's 2018's "To Drink from the Night Itself" was their last album.
Knew it.
It's going to be a 10-track album on July 2nd from Century Media, and that's At the Gates, some Swedish metal.
Our lead singer in Flooded Tombs, Kitty, is absolutely in love with this band,
Yeah.
so she's gonna be very excited.
Yes. So, and they even have the artwork for it up.
Damn.
The track listings already
There you
up.
go. That's the album everyone's heard.
Slaughter of the Soul. So
No, it's
No.
popped up on your. I was gonna say Spotify, but
I mean,
you're an Apple guy.
No,
What?
the name kind of looks familiar. That,
What?
but no, not the album art.
What?
This looks really dope though. And they changed the kind of name. Look at the name. But
I'm looking forward to seeing like what they're gonna give us. You know, like how extreme are we gonna get? And
yeah,
it's always great
yeah,
because we fucking love metal. So I'm gonna check it out regardless because I know Kitty's gonna make us do it anyways.
yeah. I'm gonna.
And I want to come in with knowledge
Probably gonna
to
have to listen
practice.
to it anyway.
Well, actually, Kitty.
Yeah. So that concludes our news segment,
News.
or at least portion of our show. To kind of just transition into like a new release segment. There's a
Things
few
that are actually out
Yeah,
right now.
this is a
I know
new-
the Gore thing was out as well, but
Yeah,
we
kinda
wanted
was-
to talk about the vinyl and stuff too.
Yeah, I think I missed that, moving that one over, but.
You
either
guys
way,
can really just go follow Gore on Instagram and find the links to find all their stuff.
I felt that
just
one
go follow Gore. Look
was-
for the blue check mark.
It was necessary to talk about that when we were talking about the CBD thing, just
Yeah.
because it's all there. But besides that, like you're saying, the Gore single, which you can go check out. And what's the song that they're doing too? It's I think you had said it earlier. It was
Fuck this place.
"Fuck This Place" acoustic.
Fuck this place.
Yeah.
Fuck this city.
So some more songs we got dropping. Gojira dropped a new video and single for Amazonia, the song.
You really just spread out their releases on this maybe new album. I think now it's like, right?
Have you seen? Well, let me show you the track listing. I think they have the track listing.
Say
out.
what? They have
Yeah.
a track listing on there?
Yep.
Son of a bitch. Someone's getting an angry email. How the fuck are you not doing this? So it is. Because we talked about it the first time around when we talked about Another World.
Yes, we talked about that. Yeah.
And that was fucking like 3 months ago. You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, of course a new album's going to come out. And you were like, I don't know. But then we got Born for One Thing.
Yes, that was the next single to drop.
And that was again, that was like a month ago.
Yeah.
And then we get I'm sorry,
Amazonia.
Amazonia.
And this track actually is going to, let's see, it's actually going to like a good cause. They're holding an auction to raise funds for the AIPB, which is some of the stuff they have is like some one-of-a-kind guitars that have Duplantiers engravings on them. Another one is a bass, which Robert Trujillo, who Metallica we talked about, and his wife Chloe have donated, along with, and those also have engravings on them. The Trujillos also autographed the instrument, and there's also items donated by Slayer, Sepultura, Lamb of God, Bring Me the Horizon.
This is the coolest fucking shit I've heard. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. And so they basically, all these bands donated things to this cause for it stands for the Articulation of Indigenous Peoples of Brazil, and it's an organization that fights for the rights of tribes in the country and those who live along the Amazon and have suffered from deforestation, reduced land, and forced labor, among other harassments. So it's like all these bands donating stuff to an auction, basically. I'm going to see if I can link to it.
All this fucking deforestation and
Yeah.
shit in the Amazon is kind of one of the reasons why we have this fucking pandemic going on. So like stopping that shit will stop shit like this from ever fucking happening again, you know?
Yeah.
Stupid fucking coronavirus.
So let's see. There's looks like a motorcycle helmet from Slayer.
Okay. I would expect that from like Zach Wilder. But okay.
There's the engraved bass from Robert Trujillo. You have that
Slap.
engraved guitar. So yeah, pretty cool.
Really fucking cool. And this is what Gojira like lives and breathes for, is to like, you know, create awareness about things like this and to talk about it in their music.
Mm-hmm.
They might get shit on a little bit like emo metal. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's the music is still great. You don't have to like fall into the lyrics and be like, well, they just sing about plants. Well, then don't fucking live. I don't know what to tell you. Like, how is that a problem? No.
It's I can't. You can't argue with it. Almost like
why?
You're gonna say that's bad.
Yeah, right.
So what? The
So
song's bad.
Why don't you sing about something satanic?
If you think the song's bad, that's like, I don't know. It's a whole different thing. And I think the song is awesome. Kind of reminds. I've heard it compared to like, Root Sepultura, kind of where it's like.
Well, because they were using that weird instrument, and I wish I knew the name.
The didgeridoo, I think. Something like that.
Is it a didgeridoo?
That's what I think the article said.
Okay, that's what it is. But it's like obviously a fucking. Oh Jesus! I'm sorry.
Was it that weird like bow wow? Yeah,
exactly. We see him like on Sepultura when it was doing like a Chaos AD. Yeah, he used it on that tour. Remember, we used to have that DVD.
Yeah, and they've even used it on the Link too, I think.
Yeah, dude, it's the coolest instrument. I've always wanted one. So it's just like a bow and arrow, you know? Like it's just a bent stick with a string, and you just smack it with this other stick, and it makes this really cool like bouncing sound. It's like wow, 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 you know?
Yeah. So
love it. It's stuck in my head all the time.
It was I like the song. I'm excited for the album. The video was great too.
So fucking excited.
Everything about it was.
I loved how like someone like pitted. They were like new Mastodon and Gojira in the same year, and then just
this
show
whole
like
year's gonna be fucked.
And just like show a picture of like King Kong versus Godzilla, and you're like, yes.
This year, if we get everything we are promised, I think this year's gonna be off the charts with the releases.
Busy as shit. Just listen to music. That's my new job.
So now,
actually, before we move into this, can I take a break? Can we just take a little pause, play some elevator music, vamp, if you will?
We'll just do a quick cut right back.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Took a quick little to the audience. It was instant. But yes, we're back.
Just had to find this track list for this new band that we're about to talk about.
Yes.
Starring Max Calavera. Oh, already excited. And his son in a new death metal band.
Amadeus. Igor Amadeus Cavalera.
He named him after his brother.
Yeah, it's their band is called Go Ahead and Die, and they have an album coming out with about 11 songs. And it's a pretty brutal album cover. You know, it's like reminds me of some like classic punk rock shit or something. It's
and
like
it's
black
death
and white
metal,
drawn.
You know,
and it's
it
like
has to be this way.
Weird, crazy death metal. Yeah. So the single that they released is called "Truckload Full of Bodies," and Max and Igor they teamed up with the drummer from Black Curse and Chemist, Zach Cole. And it's supposed to harken back to like the late 80s / early 90s death metal with like chugging riffs and just fast, you know.
Just fucking, just downbeats, fucking just blaring through shit, dude. Brutals. Like beating you down when you listen to it in a good way.
Saying one of a kind father. This is what Max said. He said it was a one of a kind father son collaboration, bringing the old school with the new attitude. Sick riffs with abrasive lyrics from Igor and brutal drumming from Zach. They inspired me. Extreme times call for extreme music.
Hell yeah!
And then it's they're calling it GAD, GAAD for short, GAD.
Cool.
So he said, I could not be more excited to be, this is what the drummer said, I could not be more excited to be a part of GAD and to have the album come out on Nuclear Blast. I feel we are able to capture extreme aggression with the record. It's a mix of old school, think 89 era metal punk style, and a newer sound that reflects what's going on, protest and survive.
It's fucking brutal for sure. Listening to it right now,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to play the music.
No.
You probably already knew that because we had so many problems on how we were going to revamp this podcast. But as we listen to it over our headphones, it is fucking awesome. I'm going to go ahead and just add that to the list so I do not forget.
Yeah, definitely something to listen to if you haven't, just to like get a different style from like where Max is coming from, because he's not even really singing the whole time. You know, it's his son, and it's insane. It's awesome. So
I didn't even notice. Like, it's just so brutal. I was like, oh, this ain't Max singing.
Yeah.
I was like, there's just a lot to listen to right
Yeah.
now. I'm taking it all in.
Oh yeah. And speaking of a lot to listen to, I do suggest everyone go listen to that single and the album when it comes out on through Nuclear Blast on June 11th.
Yeah,
That's when
just
it
go
comes out.
follow Nuclear Blast on YouTube. Come
Yeah.
on, y'all.
But yeah, speaking of that, we've got new releases, what, and they all came out on the same day. It was like Christmas on the 26th. It was insane. Like I said, it's the third,
Drop it.
or it's the second today. April Fool's was yesterday, but March 22nd, it was just insane. You had a lot of other stuff came out, of course. It was like this day of music releases, but we'll kind of go through the ones that kind of notable to us that we kind of just thought, you know, worth mentioning. Start with some Mike Patton here is awesome.
Busiest man in the music industry. I swear to
I
God.
know. I've been digging this album, this new album, Tonic
Oh, really?
Immobility.
Dude.
Immobility, sorry. Tonic Immobility, sorry.
I wore out those first like 3 singles.
Oh, really?
And didn't realize that it all just dropped like 2 days ago.
I've
And now
been just
today is just
cramming
been. Yeah.
it. Yeah, I've just... So,
I was like, I gotta listen to other things. I can't just
Yeah.
sit here all day listening to Tomahawk.
it's a totally different Tomahawk. I love how like every project of his, even Mr. Bungle, where it's like every album's a little different, but it's kind of the same. But
It has a Mike Patton feel no matter
Yeah.
what. He has his own style and
Yeah.
it reflects hard. Where it's like
Exactly.
it's hard to not
But
to sound like
for
a
Tomahawk,
Mike
who's
Patton
like
head
this, like,
production.
you know, their one album was like just all Native American chants. It was
I
like,
know.
like you know, the
So
thing,
weird.
Yeah,
It's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's some good gems on that album, though. There's some
Oh,
good
yeah.
ones. I think like War Song is
Oh,
one
yeah.
of my favorite, and it's just something to put on in the background. You'll be surprised.
I can't. Oh,
Yeah.
what was it? There's one. Fuck.
There is one song on there where I'm just like, ooh.
It's like the name of it, and it's the chant in the chorus. And I
Yeah.
can't think of it.
But for those who didn't know, Tomahawk is not just a Mike Patton project. It's also one of my favorite band here in Austin's like guitar player, their lead guitar player. And I can't remember his name. Chris, I know you know his name. But the Jesus Lizards guitar player, as well as like Trevor Dunn, that's like, you know, Mr.
Yeah.
Bungle. He played with the Melvins. I don't know, probably everyone. You see a guy play an orange bass, that's him. It's him. And I love his bass lines for all Tomahawk songs. They just keep it grooving, and then the drums are just like so sporadic and slappy around it. And then whatever his fucking style is for like the Jesus Lizard, his guitar playing is so unique. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What is his name?
I'm about to look it up. Actually,
I thought we all knew this. I know this because I'm just slipping. There's so much information we have here.
So we're gonna look at the current incarnation of the band. This guy? No. Dwayne Dennison.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
correct? The Jesus Lizard, yes.
Yes. See that Dwayne?
Dwayne.
It's fucking. Why
Dwayne
can't I remember
Dennison.
that fucking name?
John Stanier is the drummer. And then Trevor Dunn, like you said on bass.
And this is their first release in 9 years, which it takes some time because Mike Patton has a million projects. I mean, not too long ago, they just dropped that Mr. Bungle album. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now here's the Tomahawk album coming around. And then he's already talking about doing another Dead Cross album. And you're like,
Yeah.
among many things in between there. You know what I mean? And one of the coolest things I've seen recently was an interview with Mike Patton and Eric Andre. It was crazy. It was for Revolver magazine. It was awesome. You guys go on YouTube, check it out. Great. They talked about the new Mr. Bungle album a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing like so many more things and people talking about this album.
Yeah.
Because, oh man.
Trevor Dunn stated in 2021, basically this year, that me and Dwayne and John recorded all of our parts about 4 years ago, actually. Dwayne had finished the music, and I guess Mike was busy at the time, like you're saying. So John and I flew down to Nashville to record with Dwayne. Then over the years, we've just been waiting for Mike. He's been doing other stuff, so it took a while. And I think the pandemic kind of helped spur it along because he was stuck at home, so he wrote all the vocal melodies and the rest of the lyrics in his studio in San Francisco.
Man, I was curious about, why it took so long in between albums. But like you said, 4 years ago, they recorded all this. And then he was like, I finally found the time. So
Yeah.
like,
I have the time to write the lyrics.
yeah, it was
and
like
the vocal.
2017, man.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely go check that out.
They got 3 music videos as well for the singles,
on
which are fucking cool.
Ipecac Records.
Which is his own record label.
yes.
Because Mike Patton plays by his rules. No one else's.
No one
plays
else's. My rules.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been listening to the album all day. It's fucking killer. But so is the next album we're about to get into. Because
Oh yeah,
I
this
was
next one
blown
I've
away.
been cramming too.
I
dude.
was blown
It's
away
so
when I listened
good.
to this. I was like, okay,
I know.
add
I
it.
know. And I can't believe it's just both of them. So we're talking about, of course, the next album is Death from Above's Is for Lovers. And it's so good. It's so dancey, but at the same time, there's songs that are heavy as fuck.
Yeah, it's edgy too.
Yeah.
But it's very catchy and it's very, there's a lot of electronic kind of feel in it. But at the same time, it's very noisy, and very teeth gritty.
This is a band where the drummer is the main singer. And the other guy does the...
And I believe it's a 2-piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse F. Keeler on bass and the synths, and then you have Sebastian Granger on drums and main vocals, and the other Jesse does backing vocals. So it's
This band is one of those bands that always surprises me every fucking time something pops up on my Spotify, And I'm just like, holy shit, it's really a band I need to listen to more often. And
Yeah.
if you will, when you're in the mood for something like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, something good to start your day. That's how I would describe it.
It's-
Put on in the morning.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I actually was surprised that I listened through the whole album and I was like, wow, I actually do really like this album.
Yeah.
So, it's really short. It's only 31 minutes, so you can cram it in. The songs
Yeah.
are short. I mean, 2 minutes 50,
Nah,
1 minute 30.
This band is quick and to
Yeah.
the point, man. We got 2
Yeah.
members. We're not trying to hold on to an 8-minute banger. We'll
Yeah.
fall apart.
Yeah. They're described as dance punk, and that's exactly. I mean, this album is kind of like that.
That was the best
super
way to describe
dancey,
it,
but it's
yeah.
just raw,
Yeah.
like a punk band.
Super raw.
Yeah. We're just listening to it's
The first song, Modern Guy.
yeah, the single, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
And this was
Or One on One was the single.
before I do the podcast, I like to, have a great breakfast and can't say words. And, practice, some drums, get my mind going. And most of the time I'll just try to play what we're talking about, on the podcast, on our episode. And trying to play some of this stuff, I was just like, whoo. Whoo, it goes, dude.
Yeah.
It's fun, and I'm gonna keep working at it because I know that they're using synthesizer to help the drumming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can hear the snare has that weird.
Yeah,
synth
and
snap.
then those little weird double taps on the hi hat. It's maybe he's doing that with his hands. I figured it out how to do how to play it, and I was like, wow. And you're singing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
sure there's a digital pad there somewhere, but It's produced. The album was produced by them. They're on Everything 11, Universal in Canada, and Spine Farm. And I don't know. It's you can totally hear the like self-produced rawness. It was a pleasant surprise to listen to. So
Yeah.
I would recommend if you're open-minded in that, check it out.
Yeah, and this was kind of like the music that was like really popular like 4 years ago, where it's like in movies, like you hear it all the time. And I'm a huge fan of this like dark wave punk. You know what I mean? I mean, keep it coming, folks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's not in style anymore. I'm like, fuck that, dude. This is like the future of music in my mind in some ways, you know?
Yeah.
So fucking cool. And I guess we gotta move on. And I won't be too critical because this lady is a really nice lady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would. The songs I listened to were. So we're gonna move on to our next album, which is
Evanescence.
Evanescence is The Bitter Truth, which is their first album in about 3 years. And if you put on either Broken Pieces Shine,
Gotcha.
cool.
I removed from the first song. I was like, article and the turn.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go to the next song.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I was listening to it while cleaning my house the other day. Just put it on, and they do get whatever shit for whatever reason.
Well, we
but
just know what they sounded like back in 2001 when we were in fucking high school and we were like, hell no. You know what I mean? We're fucking stuck up kids. But
Yeah.
There's really no reason why we can't like any style of music or any band other than Nickelback. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think it's kind of unacceptable if you do.
yeah,
And it's just how, I mean, I'm loving the drumming right now,
yeah.
It's so distant and atmospheric, but it still keeps it going. It's metal. It's always
It's
metal.
metal.
It's metalcore. What do you expect?
When listening to the album, I was like thinking about like their live show, and I bet they're one of those bands that just sounds so fucking good live, where it's like,
Oh,
man,
it sounds just like this.
Like
live.
you would be a fan of them once
I've
you
seen
see
them live.
You're like,
I have seen them live.
That's pretty good.
It was at a fucking Family Values tour, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Let's
At
go.
that
Let's
po-
go.
Like you're saying, at that point in your time,
I was fucking like 18.
I think if you had a more open mind now, you would like just happen to be there, see them, and you'd be like, damn.
I would always find something to appreciate.
It sounds
like
like they could be like open for a big, like they have a very big sound in
Yeah.
them. So,
and they're one
she's
of those,
a good singer.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
there's
not
something.
sure, but does she ever like get into like any gritty screaming,
I'm
or
not
is it all kind of like very beautiful and like?
It's kind of like that, beautiful. I haven't really heard, at least in this album, I didn't hear anything too crazy gritty. But
How many tracks are on this album?
well, that's
that's
like,
a different
one. Box sets and stuff.
25 tracks. Holy shit.
Yeah. I was impressed by just like the production, the sound of it. It sounded really good and clean, and then like big. I can imagine it sounding really good live. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm like now a huge fan now or anything, but I have a better respect for them after listening to the album.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I'm loving how the drums sound, dude.
Drums sound really
Who
good.
the
The
fuck
guitars, I was
makes
like,
this?
yeah. Man, put on the next song. I think the next one's another single. We're just kind of behind the scenes listening to stuff, but I don't know if this is the song. There was a few songs that I heard on here that were actually really heavy, like music wise, and I was like, okay, I don't know. The singing is the thing I could see that turns people off, but besides, if you kind of just accept that for, don't let that get in
I
the
can
way.
get
I think
over it if the drums are good enough. And this is the third song on the album. The game is over, and the drums again. The catchiest part of the entire song so far, just like it was in Broken Pieces. It's like, wow, who is this guy? I'm just gonna listen to it just to get some ideas on
that guy.
things to come up with when we work on new music. You know what I mean?
Will Hunt, and guess what else he's done? Static X. Black Label Society.
That makes sense. I've seen this guy play live for a lot of bands. For a lot of bands. Did it say Stain as well?
Yep, and Stain.
God, well, he's just one of the world's catchiest drummers then.
Yeah, he's just like solid. You need that solid guy. Yeah.
you need for a good rock drummer, you know? God damn. Loving it.
But that's like if you can play solid, but get the kit to sound really good and big and just nice, especially
Yeah.
with music like this, where it's like
He's not doing a bunch of stuff.
you're
It's
having
just
to like
tasteful.
exactly the singing is kind of what's like.
It's supposed to be what's heard more than anything, and the drums are supposed to complement it, and it's complementing the hell out of it. You know what I mean?
At some
Moving
point,
with it.
exactly. At some
dancing
point,
with
I
it.
kind of think of King Diamond too, where she gets so high too, where I'm like, people can accept King Diamond in a lot of ways. How the fuck? It's not really much that different from like
It's
that
just
high.
too. It's too pretty.
No,
It's
well,
too
yeah,
pretty.
Exactly.
It's too
King
produced.
Diamond's a
Yeah.
little bit more like
It's too
evil.
produced.
I get that. I get.
And you know,
I
we
get
still
it.
get made
I
fun
get
of for
it.
liking Static X and like saying like, yeah, I'm still a Korn fan, and people are like, oh yeah. I'm like, go suck a dick somewhere else, dude. Who cares? Like, good music's good music. It doesn't matter what fucking style it is.
You know what? It reminds me of like this resurgence of like this new metal kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I think new metal is always going to be there. The metalcore, it makes
Yeah.
more money than any other genre of music, and you can look that shit up. Like a fucking Disturbed show will outsell any rapper or fucking pop star, you know. And that was like an article that came out like 2 years ago where people come out to those shows and their age demographic is people in their 30s with a job and money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Duh. You know? And so there's always a market for this, and there always will be. It's
True.
It's a style of music or a genre of music that you can shit on, but it was definitely a stepping stone for everyone to bounce off of and create other styles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would just say give it a chance. I gave it a shot and I was surprised. I mean, of
If you
course,
like pretty metal, yeah.
I'm not saying everyone's gonna like it, but again, you'll find something like you're saying the drums, or you'll find something that will surprise you about it that you might enjoy.
Yeah. And you know, metalcore is famous for their breakdowns, so
That's why you were hearing right now is this crazy breakdown.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah.
And you want to talk about the
and then
drum
cut,
sounding
yeah.
good, the kits, yeah. So I mean,
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. All right.
so
We gotta move
moving on to our next new release, the final one of March 26th. This one I was like, I put on there because it is in the metals kind of rock category, but in just doing research, it's their first album since 2008, so long time. It's their first album with a real
Wow.
drummer. Put on, let's see, I'm gonna the third song or second song, I think. Yeah, this is kind of like a lead-in.
Can you even say the title of that second song?
Third song, sorry. Dream Weapon is the song I'm gonna have him put on because I think this is it. The drummer in this band is insane. The band reminds me of like a heavy metal Animal
Whoa.
Collective. Like a heavy metal Animal Collective. You know, if you like Animal Collective, which is like just kind of like atmospheres and noises, but like imagine now somebody ripping the drums apart.
I heard a Animals as Leaders song like this the other night where I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, what the fuck? You know? That drumming is nuts.
Yeah. And so this band is the first one with the real drummer. I've heard a lot about them through just like seeing their name around in the past. And it's really interesting to just hear them now in the context of like, I guess, of new music that's coming out and if them incorporating a drummer, because I don't know what they sounded like beforehand, but if this is what they're going to sound like from now on, I'm a fan type of a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So-
could see why this is their first time having a drummer because who are you going to find to fucking play this shit? Like, you're going to find someone super fucking talented. It sounds like a goddamn drum machine or a processor
That's
going
exactly
off. And I'm
like you need somebody that's like a drum machine. So it's almost industrial, like
Yeah.
where it's like I can only
it's
imagine
also so
live.
physical. Like,
Yeah.
there's really, like, there's a lot of great drummers out there, but, like, man, those guys are busy because of, like, their intensity and how they can play. It's why
Yeah.
High on Fire is not a band anymore, you know what I mean? Where it's like, how are you going to replace this guy? And what
Yeah.
are you going to pay him to be replaced, you know?
I mean, it just you get something else, and you can hear it in the like intensity the drums really add to even like the real drums. You know, like this type of stuff where like this is heavy. This is heavy music.
This
But,
is
like,
super fucking heavy.
yeah.
It's like overbearing. Yeah. Where like I saved a song.
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming back to Dream Weapons. Dream Weapon.
Yeah, and the rest of the album is kind of like that. There's like long, like
Wait,
7
how do you
minutes.
say the name of this band?
Genghis Tron, like Genghis Khan.
Fucking
but
cool.
Yeah, Genghis Tron. And the name of the album is Dream Weapon. It was released on March 26th. It's got really good reviews. Metal Injection, Metal Sucks, Kerrang basically giving it all like really. And first time I heard it, I was like, holy shit. Gave it a listen to, and it's like I was skating to it again the next day. I was like, damn, this is like a really good album. So there are some long songs. You got 10-minute, 7-minute songs, but then there's like, 5, 6. There's some really short ones, like a 2 and a 1, but those are just kind of like electronic mood pieces that.
Well, you can hear
set
it
the
now.
piece,
Like
yeah.
there's they have breathing room, and they
Exactly.
like to build anticipation, so they can rip your head off once more. You know what I mean?
And it does go back into the crazy drum part, at least in this song. But so yeah, it's a 4-piece, and Kurt Balu, I can't pronounce his name, but he is another person that's super famous in the community. God, I wish I could say that name. Balu, Converge, like this is the guy. This is the guy, producer.
Guitar player. No.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Played in Converge since 1990. Yeah, so the producer knows his way around the
Yeah.
sound, and you can kind of hear like that's why it's heavy, but also kind of beautiful.
And he's also marked us there as producer, right?
That's
So
to it.
he's helping them with the idea and the
Yeah.
vision of the album, like pushing it further. And you can definitely, now that you say like the guy from Converge helped like produce this, it's like, of course he did.
Yeah.
You can hear it, and like I could just imagine him like trying to ramp the band up. Like no, you gotta let it breathe and then fucking go total ham. We always start off at total ham. It's just like, you're like, oh, turn it down. I had it on 75% and 50.
Yeah, it's label is Relapse. They're labeled as shoegaze, but I mean, it's like if shoegaze was on like a hardcore bender,
Yeah.
like a metal bender or something, because like it's post. I don't know.
Death
it's
Gaze.
yeah,
Death
Death Gaze,
Gaze.
something. It's off the wall. But God City Studios in Salem, Massachusetts. So you go to Salem to get the Witchcraftery. You know what I mean? You can hear it.
Well, also you can hear like the area that they grew up in.
Yeah,
it has
true.
reflect that their sound.
Yeah.
How like you get that East Coast sound. When we talk about thrash, and that's a whole nother subgenre almost of its own, just because of where it's at. And the environment around you, you walk outside every day and it's fucking cloudy. You're probably gonna write some fucking cloudy ass music, like something that's like not so sunshiny
Yeah.
and fucking surfboards,
Yeah. Nick Yash, I can't do this guy's name. YACYSHYN.
I'm just gonna call him
yeah,
Nick.
Nick is the drummer, and then just to fully describe the album and cap it off, Michael, the keyboard player, said the sound is more meditative, hypnotic, and maybe more psychedelic compared to their previous works. So
I'm curious of what their previous works sound like, because this is my first time listening to this band, first time even knowing about this album. Because I was like, I had so much to research. This is the one. I'll just listen to it and try to react in the moment. And I don't know, like it's definitely saved, and I'm gonna check out other stuff.
Yeah, you
but
should
I
check
feel
it
like
out on it,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm just not gonna be as satisfied after listening to something like this. You know what I mean? Because the drums are just like just right there in your face.
Oh
and-
yeah, I mean that song is a highlight of the album, but definitely if you're in the mood to just put it on, the rest of the album goes nuts to butts at times too. So for sure. Moving on to, I guess, our next portion of the show. We're coming to the end, people. The album Anniversaries. Happy birthdays.
all the albums that have been around for 20 plus,
Yeah.
maybe 10-ish of years in some cases.
Yeah. These are the albums celebrating anniversaries for March, the back end of March since our last episode. I don't have any included that are for at least up until March 2nd. I don't know if there are any. But if there are, we will have them on the next show. Like if there's a April, sorry. If there's an April 1st or 2nd release that we're
missing right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. But yeah, we're going to go into the first album of the Anniversaries, which came out March 19th, is Gojira's Terra Incognita, celebrating 20 years.
So you were saying 20 years. On mine, Spotify, it says 2000, just 2000.
Yes.
But the album came out in 1999?
Came out in 2001.
2001, I'm sorry.
Yes, March 19th.
Why does it say 2000 on here?
It may be... Well, I don't know. It was recorded in 2000 and 2001. So if it was still being recorded in 2000, maybe that's just a typo error.
Yeah, maybe.
But there's also, again, this album had several re-releases and remasters.
And it was one of the, I constantly think back of like, oh, right, when you sign a contract with a label, sometimes they own your album for like 10, 15, 20, it depends, you know what I mean? To where you can't do anything with that album, to where they can like send those songs off to like for a movie if they wanted to, if you will, you know what I mean? So they just got back this album, I believe I want to say 10 years ago for another re-release, if not 5. It was a special re-release after they got it back. So they remastered it after remastering it. They're super famous for this.
Listenable Records got it in 2009 for the re-release, and then they did the 2016 remaster.
Okay.
Listenable, yeah. They produced the album. It's their first album. 14 songs coming in.
Wait, did we see the name of the album? What we're doing?
Yeah, Terra Incognita.
Gojira's.
Yes.
Okay.
Coming in at over an hour. 66 minutes and 50 seconds.
Definitely doesn't feel like that.
It's because of the last song, In the Forest, which is 12 minutes.
I see that now. I see.
And then there are 14 songs, so you get a couple, which every song is a banger. So it's no complaints here.
I don't know one bad Gojira song.
Yeah. The 2009 reissue put out had a cut down version of In the Forest, and then added 3 live songs. Yeah.
We talked about this album about a year ago because we jumped the gun.
Yeah, we did do a whole episode on it. So
if you want to go back and listen to our Terra Incognito episode, that's where we'll dive into all the information, production, what it took to get to that point in their career to release an album, and us talking about how the fuck did we not know in 2000 when it came out, or 2001, about this album.
Yeah.
And it took me 10 years to even hear about Gojira. It weren't a band that was played on MTV.
No.
They weren't on the radio. No one was asking for them
what was
to
it?
be
From
played.
Mars was like the big American introduction of them.
Yeah, you saw them as an opening band, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I was just blown away because they're so talented and it's so unique and so good. And now everyone's heard the name Gojira, seen it a little bit more, after the Magma's release, really got them a little bit more of a household name, if you will.
Headlining and stuff,
First headlining opportunity. Cover of Rolling Stones, Yeah. And this band's been busting their ass for 20 years, you know what I mean? We just talked about their new album that's about to come out, and then we're back to them again because all we talk about on this podcast is Gojira.
Yeah.
And
is this the Sepultura Gojira podcast? What is this? No.
Yes, this is the Sepultura. And sometimes we'll talk about Mastodon and Mike Patton stuff. So that's all we got, man. But I definitely love this album. One of the songs, Low Areas of Satan, is one of my favorite songs. There's Obviously, Clones is a super well known. I love how like everything's capitalized on the album playlist.
Yeah.
And then Love is the single from this. And Love is like, it was a really fun music video too. And
Yeah, the music videos are fun.
It's one of those songs I can like think back and remember exactly how it sounds, which is that's rare, you know, without listening to it for a year, you know, and think back of what that song sounds like. You're like, that makes it a really unique song and really good. That being said, like everyone remembers the Barney song, so I don't know if that just stuck in your head forever. All right, do you want to move on to the next album?
Yeah, we can move on. We're gonna. We talked about this band earlier.
We talked about Godzilla. Now we have to talk about King Kong.
Yeah. Talked about Mastodon's new album earlier, but we're gonna dive into some of their classics in this segment. First up is Crack the Sky, which came out in March 24th, 2009. It is their fourth album, studio album. Had 2 singles, Divinations and Oblivion, about 50 minutes long on Reprise, Sire, and Relapse. It was recorded April through September 2008 at Southern Tracks Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, with Brendan O'Brien being the producer. And he has done AC/DC, or worked with AC/DC, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Bob Dylan, Rage, Springsteen. So
just makes good fucking albums, man. He just knows how to get that shit onto,
on the wax.
Audio. Yeah, on the wax.
This is the first studio album to have Braun, who's the drummer, as the third lead vocalist. So
he's such a high voice.
He takes over a lot of songs. Received very well critically, and
some would say their best work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Magnum opus, maybe.
It's so good. It's its own separate thing that kind of lives, where it's like, listening to it kind of like puts you.
They played, I think, the whole thing whenever they were touring it or something like that. Yeah, it's about 50 minutes long. Yeah, like I said, 50 minutes long, 7 tracks. The longest one being The Last Baron at 13, and they do something interesting with the Tsar and split it into 4 songs, 4 pieces rather, all equaling about 11 minutes.
It's so interesting. This is one of their concept albums.
Yeah,
and it has to like dive into the unpacking that we got from it was like my sister's name was Sky. She passed away, and a lot of the feelings that I had or
she committed suicide at age 14.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, that at the same time, like you never think about that when you think about a Mastodon album until you read where it's like, oh, this came from a very sad place. You know what I mean? But it also, like, another thing I heard was like, this was shortly after, I believe it was shortly after, but it was right after the whole incident with the guitar player for Mastodon and the bass player from System of a Down.
Oh no.
Where he said some shit when they like won an award or something and was like drunk and he got punched, fell, hit his head on the back of like stairs or something and fucking went into a coma for a couple months. And he came out and he said he had the whole idea for this album. That was his first thing he said when he came out of the coma was, I had the idea for this album.
Huh.
Yeah. And then we obviously talking about Sky, Brent's sister. And those 2 elements, it also goes a little bit deeper in there, too, when it talks about its elements of, like, what it's based about, like, what is, because it is one of those albums that is, like what I was saying earlier, a concept album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So each song, like, it really needs to be listened to in order, and you kind of start to understand the concept.
You kind of need to listen to the whole piece, yeah. And just the whole piece.
It's not an album I can move around and pick a song out of. I have to start at the beginning and move through because nothing else makes sense if I just picked one out of the hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like how I feel with some of the other albums.
Yeah.
And we do have 2 Mastodon albums, so do we want to come back to Mastodon? Or just kind of scoot it boot?
Yeah, we'll kind of cover the next 2 just in order of, I guess, release. So our next album on the list came out 4 days after the Mastodon album, March 28th, but not on the same year. It is Faith No More's King for a Day, and it came out 25 years ago.
Making its 25th anniversary. Which, man, blown my mind. 25 years ago this came out, and this is like, I think, not their last album, but second to last album, like their third album, and then before they just kind of like hanging it up,
It's the 5th studio album by
Holy
them.
shit. I'm counting it wrong because I'm not counting their first one. I'm just counting the Mike Patton ones. I just want to state that.
It was recorded in 1994 at Bearsville Studio in Woodstock.
Again, my Spotify says 1995.
Yeah, that's when it released. 95.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Fucking Spotify today.
Yeah. So actually, if that would be the 26th anniversary. Sorry about that. 95.
I absolutely love this album.
Not
I
the
got
25th.
it from one of the last record stores here in Austin, Cheapo Records, when it was around. And it was right after some Marley Fest, whatever, Eeyore's whatever fuck birthday, high on hallucinogenics. I go in there, I'm like, I'm buying an album. I pick it up. I'm like, whatever, never heard it, Faith No More. I'm like starting to fall in love with them. So I'm like, what? Let's do it.
Let's check
You know
it
what I mean?
out. Yeah.
Check it out. They look at the disc. They're like, it's a little scratched up. How about you just have it? Keep it for free. Like, just go. I was like, I can have it for free. And I absolutely just fell in love with it to where it's like, I think that was the first Faith No More album I got. And after that, like, I owned them all. You know what I mean? Because it was like, holy shit, And I'm just a Patton head, man. It's just
A Patton head.
It's just too good. It's my favorite like flavor of rock and roll. You know what I mean? It's a little wacky, a little bit weird, but very groovy. It could be some screams. It can also be very beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Faith No More is
definitely.
known for being many of things. And if you've never heard this album, because it's not like, their biggest album on the list. I even the album after this one, which is called, because we all know Angel Dust, right? Album of the year is, just as good as this album. It's just, I think people know Album of the Year a little bit more than King for a Day. But then again, I don't know, because it was 25 years ago, and I was 8,
Yeah.
8 years old when this shit came out. But I fucking love this album. It's so good. So many bangers from start to finish. Not a bad song.
No. Andy Wallace produced
Of course he did.
on Slash and Reprise Records.
We talked about Andy Wallace
lot.
nonstop.
Yeah.
At lengths.
This is the first one to not feature longtime guitarist Jim Martin.
No!
So after they lost Martin, Trey Sprunance was brought on to perform on the album. He's also in Mr. Bungle. And then the album actually was set back a little bit further because there was a car accident with Roddy Bottum, who was affected by the deaths of both his father and Kurt Cobain, who was also one of his close friends.
Holy shit. It's right there at that time frame, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sprunance was replaced on the supporting tour by Dean Minta. He did play 5 Faith No More shows for the first time in 2011, though, playing the entire album at a show in Chile. So I mean, it's just
That
one
was
of
the
those.
only
Like,
show they did that year, too. It was like, oh. It's like, seriously?
so I mean, interesting about it. It had 3 singles: "Digging the Grave," "Ricochet," and "Evidence." And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more.
I really wish we could like dive in a little bit deeper to this.
Yeah.
It's
14 songs.
It's an album I've listened to so many times, and we could be here all day talking about maybe the
Yeah.
story, because it's always a story when it comes to Mike Patton, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I definitely suggest anyone that is a Mike Patton fan or Faith No More fan to go listen to the entire album. You're going to find some gems on there. And it might be one of those things that after 25 years, people might have forgotten. You know what I mean? But let's not forget. It's a great fucking album. And it's a Faith No More album. This band is legendary, y'all.
Yeah.
So we can move on from here.
Moving on, an album that came out
All we talk about.
on March 29th, 2011, making its 10-year anniversary, is the Cavalier Conspiracy's second album,
Blunt Force Trauma.
which we saw them play when we saw them.
We did.
This was the album they were touring for. It was recorded in January, May 2010 at The Lyre in Los Angeles.
Force Trauma now. Blunt Force Trauma now.
It's about
It comes on my Spotify all the time. I'm like, God damn it.
It's a really short album, 34 minutes. Roadrunner is the label, produced by Max and Logan Mader. Inflicted was the first album, this is the first time that the brothers have come together since Sepultura, so it was kind of a big deal for the first album.
And Inflicted was
Inflicted
awesome.
was insane. It had Joe from Gojira playing bass on it.
That's
It's
the
a
lead
super
singer
group.
of Gojira, y'all.
It was like a
playing
goddamn
bass.
super group. It was fucking awesome.
Album's sick, dude.
Yeah.
And this one was good.
It was good.
And the one after this is even better. No.
You got 11 songs, like I said, 34 minutes. It's just classic. Like, it's awesome. I mean,
Lynch Mob is one of my
yeah.
favorite. It has a special guest singer on it. I forget who it is.
Of Agnostic Front,
Yeah.
Roger Murate.
Oh, it's the coolest opening. Coolest opening ever. And
You
for
got-
whatever reason, my Spotify is like, thinks I absolutely love this album to death. So it just gives it to me all the time. So I know this one like the back of my hand, to be honest.
Johnny Cho replaced Joe Duplantier for live duty. Was the bassist in Stone Sour. Was also in Fireball Ministry. Just a bunch of other bands. Four-piece, Mark Rizzo coming back basically from Soul. It's like Soulfly, but with like...
It is Soulfly pretty much. But now we get the brothers back together.
Yeah.
And it's
It's just
what
like
it
a more
is-
harder Soulfly kind
Yeah,
of.
and
Like,
all it is an
if there was
excuse
such
for
a
them to
thing.
play together.
Yeah.
That's it. For them to start jamming together.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how the first Cavalier Conspiracy album came up. He was like, hey, if you ever want to get back together and start jamming, like,
Yeah.
and start working on some stuff, he's like, oh, I have a whole album already ready to go. And he's like, oh, no way. He's like, yeah. And he was lying. He didn't have a whole album. He just started writing shit right then, dude.
yeah.
Because, after how many years? 20 years almost, they didn't talk to each other. Something nuts like that from the
Yeah.
whole Roots breakup and the whole drama and controversy behind that. And for them being brothers and not to talk to each other for that long, it's fuck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this is a celebration of brothers, bonding once more again. So every album, they just put like their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and just have a good time at the same time. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's well produced. It's hard worked. It's worked out really well. Every song is good. There's nothing that's like piss poor on this. Mm-hmm. But it's also them just getting back together and like grinding once more because they read each other, man. They're brothers.
They are hard workers. This is what he said about the album. They just got done in May. We just got done in May, so I just got back from the studio. It's finished. We recorded 15 songs. 13 of them are going to be originals from the album. And then we did a Sabbath cover of Electric Funeral. It's going to come out on a Metal Hammer compilation. And then we did a Black Flag cover of Six Pack, which has Roger from Agnostic Front on it. And then he also, like we said, did Lynch Mob. He flew to LA to do his collaboration. He was really proud of it because Roger is like the godfather of New York hardcore. Going on like one of those pioneer bands and stuff.
And this album does have more of a hardcore feel to it. Every
Yeah.
song is a little bit more broken down and not. It doesn't blast through. There's some.
Yeah.
It takes some time. It gets there. Some spoken word stuff, if you will. You know how hardcore is.
He also said that he wrote a lot of the stuff and sent it to Brazil to Igor in the form of a CD. He would do like 4 tracks of riffs so that he would get familiar with the timing and stuff, and then he would bring like another CD in, which was like newer songs. so they were basically just passing kind of songs back and forth to each other. And then they just came into the studio and did everything else together.
Yeah, what's that quote right there? A cross between Minor Threat and Slayer.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, they would be.
That's the best way of putting this album. Yeah.
Everything we did in the studio together, me and him there on the spot. I told him the idea of making a very intense album with some songs being only a minute and a half. So it's a cross between Minor Threat and Slayer and Cavalier Conspiracy. So yeah, I mean the songs, you do have Torture, a minute and 15.
Torture. Motherfucking torture.
Lynch Mob is 2:30. 2:55 for Burn Waco. So like, yeah, it is one of those like punk rock just come in, and that's why it's 34 minutes.
Yeah. Killing Inside, like all these one-letter words, Warlords, like Genghis Khan, it's fucking awesome. It flies by
Genghis
too.
Khan,
It fucking flies by. It's 34 minutes long.
Yeah.
Fucking put it on while you're driving.
Also, Cavalier Conspiracy was a great excuse for them to play all these old Sepultura songs.
Yes, we saw them, and that's exactly what they did, and we were like, yes!
It was awesome.
Yeah. And then also some deep cuts too, where we got a couple of Nail Bomb songs.
Oh, I don't remember that. I mean, my memory's shit, but
I remember
if that happened, that's fucking awesome. I'm gonna look it up. And
I'm pretty sure, or maybe they just covered another Black Sabbath song.
We're
very possible.
Final
album this month.
Album anniversary, ending our show, kind of wrapping it up here. Came out on the 31st of March of 2017 as the other Mastodon album. We kind of mentioned it earlier, Emperor of Sand. It's their latest album, 7th studio album from Reprise, produced by Brendan O'Brien. Recorded
again.
Yeah. Recorded at December 2016 at the Quarry Recording Studio in Georgia and Henson Recording Studio in LA. Wonder if that's Jim Henson related. We had Show Yourself and Steam Breather as the two singles, and it got pretty good reception. It's
another album, with
banger
a sad
album.
Concept.
Yeah.
Another concept album. I don't get this sometimes. Most of the time when I listen to Mastodon is these ideas of sad songs or like them talking about something so deep because the music is always so fun and interesting. But, at certain points, like, I think I was going through like a breakup and I was listening to like Steam Breather right here. And it turns out when you're in that mindset, it's kind of a sad song,
Yeah.
And you're like, this whole album's about like cancer. Troy's wife having cancer, and I believe Brendan's mom having cancer as well. And it's like a desert, and it just sucks you dry. You know what I mean? And that's what the whole album kind of is.
So it feels like it's
so dry.
It has upbeat songs though, like Show Yourself and stuff.
Show Yourself is such an upbeat song, and it's a song that gets stuck in your head right away.
So good. It's like the poppy. So you want to get someone into Mastodon that probably won't like them. That's probably like the poppiest song you could show someone.
Oh my God, that or the Motherload. You know what I mean? Those two songs, and it has Bren singing a lot on Show Yourself.
Great songs,
you know what I mean? Yeah, they were playing it like on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Like this shit is actually like this. Some of the critics were very harsh on this album, but this album was well received by the audio or by the fans. And was played all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, quite a lot of hits on this album.
I love it. Yeah.
They were on The Tonight Show, for God's sakes. They were, like, headlining Just Another Reason. I fucking love this album, too, like, from start to finish. And I remember 4 years ago, like, every time we would go to band practice on Saturday, we would talk about, oh, did you hear the new release, of the Mastodon album? Because we were, like, all three of us were, like, super big fans, and we could all relate on that. You know what I mean? And I remember this coming out. I remember buying the album. I was just like, yes, let's do it. You know what I mean? And 5 years, right? Anniversary?
It is, let's see, the year.
No, not 5 years.
2017.
4 year.
Yes.
So one of the newest albums we've celebrated, which, that being said, there's a lot of newer stuff that came out like 3 or 4 years ago I want to like talk about so much. You know what I mean? Or just tell y'all so you guys can go check out something amazing as well and find something new.
Yeah.
Because there's so much music out there. Like sometimes shit gets, covered up. that being said, we've only talked about like Max Calavera, like Gojira, and Mike Patton.
It's like the things that are happening. I mean,
they're busy people.
Yeah, I mean, as far as releases and stuff, that's the only things that are. I mean, we talked about some of the new, trying to talk about new stuff.
Yeah,
in these,
the Death from Above, and then the
Evanescence.
Genghis Tron.
I mean, even a little.
Yeah, definitely go check out all the new releases as well as the anniversaries. And if you haven't listened to Emperor Sands in a while and you're a Mastodon fan, go fucking back and listen to some of it and get ready for that new album. You know what I mean?
Yep. So yeah. Listen,
Happy
I would
birthday,
say,
y'all.
yeah, happy birthday to all these albums.
What a great listing and all these albums that came out, because my birthday is in March, March 30th. So I was like, everything I love just has to come out here. I'm like, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more than okay with that. Happy birthday. Is it my birthday?
Well,
Oh my God.
we will conclude our show with our rest in peace section, where we kind of just talk about musicians that have passed on. One that kind
that
of
are
popped
not
up,
forgotten.
that are not forgotten. One that's popped up on my feed a bit was Corey Steger, who is a founding member of Under Oath. He's the guitarist. He was on the first two albums. And I mean, I've never really listened to too much Under Oath. I think it was like around the time of like the whole like Spencer's era, probably. We're like,
It was all like,
where I was there. And
We're still talking about like, late 90s, early 2000s. These were the bands that were popular and not Gojira. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was a huge fan base for this, because a lot of these bands would go to like the Warped Tour and shit like that, because you could find yourself in the middle of the road with metal fans and punk fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this style of or a lot of bands that are in this vein came out around this time and became fucking super huge and popular. One thing I didn't know about this band was the drummer was a singer. I was like, okay. And he's known for like doing a lot of clean vocals, and then they have a standalone singer for heavier vocals. Did not know that until I dove in a little bit. They need to go into Wikipedia. We might have to do it ourselves to add him into the past members list, because he is not accounted for whatever reason. I don't know, but couldn't find out much on my end.
He joined the singer Taylor and guitarist Luke Morton and bassist Ray Anesco and drummer Aaron Gillespie in the original Under Oath lineup in 1998 and remained with them until 2001. And he appeared on the first two albums, which was 1999's Act of Depression and 2000's Cries of the Past. And he passed away from a car accident around on March 17th, around 6 o'clock. He was rear-ended.
So, fuck, man.
Just a bad rear-ending accident.
That's pretty fucking rare. Yeah. I mean, must have been driving something old, or I don't know. It just sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah.
Especially in a car wreck of, It's
like, and something like that where probably, like you're sitting in traffic, some asshole flying down. I see it all the time. Some asshole just flying down the highway, doesn't see it, totally could, It's very sad. Hopefully, there's some sort of foundation set up for any family he had or something, but definitely if you're a fan of the band, hopefully you're aware of it and kind of give them some support.
Yeah, go listen to those first two albums, like in the memories of him. And it sucks, but again, like we were saying in the beginning of this episode, you had something that was produced that a lot of people loved, and you will be remembered for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of live on forever, because we're all going to pass away.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shit, it's why we do this, to become immortal. Pretty much, to not be forgotten. It's super vain. Yeah. But, yes, I listened to some Under Oath songs. Not my style, but still pretty fucking cool. Pretty exciting music.
Just Florida metalcore. I mean, I'm very picky about my metalcore, so
yeah, and it's a little. I don't. It just kind of got grouped into the Christian metalcore as well, which
I think they were because
Yeah.
there was references of like, the Lord.
yeah, and it's
God,
just not our
so-
style of music. Plus, when we were playing in this town 10 years ago, we ran into some of those bands, and they were dicks to us, for sure. We were like, I don't know why you guys say you're Christian, but be complete assholes. Like, aren't you supposed to be nice people? Come on, you suck. Not all Christians. I'm just saying, shitty people are shitty people, no matter what you believe in. But that will conclude our episode.
Yeah.
Please go follow us on Instagram at BANGover Productions, YouTube at BANGover Productions. Those are the only ones we really fucking care about.
Yeah, it's been
Facebook, BANGover ATX.
Yeah, it was a crazy week this week. So we crammed in a lot of stuff. I think. Hopefully next week we're gonna have, or next episode, should I say? It's been 2 weeks since our last one, but we will have a lot more.
We'll try to keep this bi-weekly, and you guys can listen to this in sections.
Because a lot of
if you
stuff
want.
happens. That's why, like in that first
We wanna
episode,
gather
our
it all
news
up.
kind of was like that, a little smaller, and this one, like I was just seeing it was almost like every day something.
We're in
was popping off,
springtime
so-
right now. A lot of albums come out in spring. It's like spring and fucking fall.
Yeah,
And summertime is the time for like bands usually on tour. But we're gonna see a lot more releases.
Yeah.
We're gonna see a lot more, new music videos coming out, more CBD oils and stuff like that.
That's why. So keep follow us on all those channels, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. When episode, because the news is not stopping. The
Exactly.
releases are not stopping. 2021, seeming like it's gonna have some crazy shit happen as far as shows happening and new music to listen to. So
I mean, exactly.
New
the,
bands.
The pandemic
Yeah.
sucked, but in actuality, now we get things like a 4-year long waited Tomahawk album because of it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you gotta look at the bright side of life. And on that note, again, I'm Scott Allen.
And I'm Chris Myers.
This was the BANGover podcast, and please go follow all these bands as well. Like, go check out these
If you
new
don't,
albums.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's not
Show
forget.
some love.
Because there
Give it a
is so much
chance.
music.
Give it a chance. That's all I say.
Why not? We have the time,
Yeah.
don't we?
Are you subscribed? It's free. I mean, if you're on Spotify or Apple, sometimes it's almost like, why not?
Yeah, and
not like-
and both those apps are free. You don't have to pay for them. You
Yeah.
just have to deal with commercials, people.
What are you scared to show other people you listen to on your friends listening to section?
That's kind of the thing.
So I don't want to see people
Yeah.
listening to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to go to hide mode
Yeah.
because I'm embarrassed. Who cares? Music is music, and you should always like what you like, and you shouldn't care what anyone else says, because that's the best part about music. There is no right or wrong.
For sure.
It's just about how you feel. And thank you all again for listening, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Got 2 weeks.
So mark it on your calendar.
Later.
Ah.